All right. Well, we're here on a very, very special porch here at the Thermal Club. This is Tim and Twana Rogers' porch, and they're the owners of the Thermal Club. So we got cars on the racetrack. I got Conor Daly next to me, and essentially we're going to discuss today some things that IndyCar does well and maybe some things they can improve in terms of their social media impact. Because obviously, as you guys know, both me and Conor are kind of active on the social media spectrum in IndyCar racing. I've obviously had my YouTube channel for a while. Conor's starting his own YouTube channel. You'll be able to...
I have started it. It is started.
It is started.
Yeah,
so
it's been going. I actually started it in the year 2008.
Oh, same.
But now it's a real thing that I pay attention to. So please subscribe. Conor Daly 22.
You can also see him in the comment section. I'll pin his comment, and then you can click on his. See, look, yeah.
We're pinning comments now. We're big YouTubers.
We know what we're doing here. We know how to
race cars.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is so cool. So I think that the first thing I want to talk about is the Thermal Club.
Yes.
Because, you know, I had some skepticism going into this weekend. In fact, I had skepticism coming to the racetrack this morning. But when I got here, and I've been here before. I had the opportunity. Don invited me out here to announce an Indy 500 program a couple of years ago, and I was impressed with the place then. But I always had the question mark of would an IndyCar race work here, and I think. At least based on 1 and 5 minutes of IndyCar practice that we've seen, I think this is great. The paddock seems to be happy with it. It seems like it's going to be a good spot to host a race for the exclusive club, to make it a little bit more, like a Formula One race.
Monaco.
Yeah, Monaco, right?
Yeah.
You probably
because you're not going to Monaco as like a normal fan. I'm sorry. But I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to Monaco.
No.
Ever. I will never make enough money to go to Monaco.
You raced at Monaco. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We won't talk about that.
We stayed in Nice. We didn't stay in Monaco. We stayed at one of those hotels with a purple banner, Premier Inn, maybe, I think. So it wasn't that great.
At least it wasn't the IB Styles. That's where I stayed when I went to France. So the IB Styles, which I think is the equivalent of a Motel 6 in France.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, but I think my one criticism about this, and it's not really a criticism, but I think that this race should be go back to being a preseason test where you tell the fans, hey, for $500 you get to eat and drink for free and you get to watch testing, and hey, you know what, we're going to have a race too at the end of this whole thing. Do it before the Daytona 500, get the fans excited, get cars on track, because I think the only thing that people got upset about is that this is happening mid-season. I think that's really the thing that I see as the only thing really holding it back right now.
See, I disagree. I think with it being after St. Pete, we don't get a lot of testing in general, right?
Correct.
So testing, very difficult to come by. We're on a Friday right now. It is a test day. Yep. You've got more practice here than you do at any other race weekend. So I think the team should be really thrilled about that. And honestly, the fact that we do get to race, the only downside for teams is that someone's going to shunt something.
Yes.
So yes, it's going to cost money to fix, and you might ruin a chassis. Okay, that's tough. But you get to simulate it's a real race, but you're essentially simulating longer stints with these tires. You're simulating a race type scenario, which again, you could do testing all you want, but you never really test a race. You can go out there and do a long stint, but you got now 27 cars running in dirty air, 26 cars running in dirty air, and you've got that race simulation testing. So again, I see it as a good thing. And honestly, they've already impressed me with the amenities and a few of the things here that I think, again, as fans, we get something to watch on NBC on Sundays. We get something to watch on Peacock right now. You could. So if you're serving up something to us, it's there. So consume it. I don't know. I see it as something that we get to be on NBC, which is huge for our series.
Yep.
I think if it's marketed correctly to the fans that don't know about our sport, who are the people that we need to attract, it's oh shoot, Sunday racing, boom, let's check it out. They don't need to know that Well, this isn't like a sellout crowd. That doesn't matter. Like, you got this wild scene. You got this incredible mountain resort motor racing facility. It makes us look cooler than we are. So that's good.
Yep.
We have to look cool, and this looks cool.
Yes.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of people are going to be upset that they can't come out here. I don't care. Like, we have to look cool. Like, and that's part of it. Not everyone's going to agree, but here we are.
I think my only criticism with the complaining is that, how many people were going to come out to California anyway? Because let's face it, the fan base is very much Midwestern based. So how many people were going to spend the plane ticket plus the $500 plus the hotel and the rental car to get out here?
Yeah.
I always
Everyone who complains that they can't come out here, why are you not going to the oval races that we all want more
I
of,
agree
and
with
that everyone says hashtag more ovals? No one shows up to Texas. No one's going to show up to Nashville unless you buy a ticket to go out there, which is possible. So, like, until you support those races that are easy to get to, don't be mad that you can't come to a race that you were never going to come to anyway.
Well, right. I think I agree with that. Buy a ticket to Nashville. Buy a ticket to Milwaukee.
Go to the races.
Yeah.
That you say, like, those are great races. No one showed up to Texas.
Yeah.
Why not?
And that was such a shame too, because the last 2 Texas races were awesome.
Great races, yeah.
I mean, maybe you didn't like them so much.
I did not like them. Well, it's easy to hate when your car is not as fun to drive as it could be.
Sure. But hey, we'll talk to Don and we'll get you at Nashville and we'll get you running.
Hey, we're working on Nashville. I've asked Dennis in several different scenarios about how we do Nashville to finish off the season. So I'm gonna beg, borrow, and steal until Dennis lets us do that race.
You know what? If you do that, it'd be a true throwback. Dust off the Purex livery and run that too.
Oh man, I'd say a combination of the Purex livery, whatever Thomas Schechter ran when he drove the Mona V car.
The Mona V, yeah.
Let's get that going again.
All right, so you mentioned like fan engagement and getting fans energized and talking to them, and social media is a huge part of that, and it's something that, frankly, IndyCar's been, that's been a struggle for them.
Yeah.
I guess I just want to hear your thoughts on social media, what it means to IndyCar, and how they can improve, because to their credit, I think they are making improvements. I mean,
Absolutely.
They're bringing some different influencers out this weekend, trying to expand the reach of the sport. There's some positivity going that direction, but Conor Daly, you're a driver. You're now an influencer too. What's your evaluation?
Being a driver. That's what I miss.
What's your evaluation of social media and IndyCar in 2024?
Well, I mean, honestly, David, we need 10 more of you.
Yep.
Like, we need people that are motivated to make content for IndyCar, right?
Sure.
Like what you do is great for our sport, because you have a great this YouTube platform that you use is very powerful. Like, my girlfriend uses it very well also. Like, she's like, hey, YouTube is like, you got to be doing YouTube right now. And so we need people that, like, again, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to see where I can take my YouTube channel, because, again, I think I could offer some unique perspectives to a platform that I think is very large. And no matter where I end up in my career, obviously I'd like to be doing the Indy 500 and IndyCar stuff for a very long time to come, but I'm going to be an IndyCar fan until I stop breathing, right?
Yep.
So, that's for me, I can be able to explain with the experience that I've got to people what's maybe something different, maybe some exciting things. But I think what they are doing is good, but this is a step-by-step process. This is not, IndyCar is not going to come in and conquer the world right out the gate, right? But they're making an effort to do that. So, we're making an effort to create unique content. We're making an effort to bring people a little bit closer. And you've got to accept, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Like, we don't need to create some wild new content strategy that is groundbreaking, but like, we just have to put stuff out there that is consumable. And I think putting stuff out there that is consumable, bringing in people like myself, who, again, I would have just been sitting at home this weekend, right, and watching the IndyCar race, but I do believe I have experience to share with people that is hopefully beneficial. Hopefully you might learn something. Hopefully you might, I might be able to ask some questions to drivers this weekend that they probably wouldn't answer normally, you know what I mean? But because I have a good relationship with a lot of these guys, that works. So I think IndyCar for sure is taking a step forward. I think for sure there's, you are obviously, you're on the case of trying to, hey, we want to make this work because we love it, because we're big fans of it. I want to do the same thing. I'm happy to be critical when it's time to be critical, but like we're also, I think, being fair to say we are making progress.
Yeah.
I do hope that, you know, we see that in the TV ratings, right? Like we haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we are making progress on smaller areas when it comes to the social side, and that's important.
So I think one of the things that I look at, you mentioned that like you wish there were more people who are motivated to come cover the series. I mean, that's been a struggle. I mean, I sometimes have struggled to motivate myself to come out because it's sometimes the views aren't what you want them to be, and sometimes your access isn't what you want it to be. And you know, it does get frustrating. And I never know what to suggest or what forum is right to suggest changes to make it a little bit easier for people to come out here who have a different platform and cover the races. I mean, that's the big thing for me. I mean, you know, I always get the sense, and I guess part of it is the fact that I'm talking to you right now, that the drivers seem to understand and recognize when someone, you know, is coming out and being independent. And, you know, most of the drivers in that paddock have always been extremely open and giving of their time with me, which I really appreciate. But like, you know, how do you know, what's the next step? I mean, what do we have to do to really make this and turn this into a business that people want to be a part of? I mean, that's the thing, you know?
I mean, if I had the answer to that, I'd make a lot more money than I currently do right now. So I think I said it like in my most recent podcast episode. If you don't listen to the podcast, please do. Speed Street, boom, check it out. It's on everywhere. We're owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr., no big deal.
He's cool.
How about that? Meshing Motorsports, NASCAR and IndyCar. Why do you can watch both. So let's
They're
first of all get that out of the way. You can watch both. If you don't, I don't care, but you can. Anyway, that's a shameless plug. Don't delete that out of your video,
don't worry.
But what I said recently is like, there's a lot of people that like to throw rocks, right? We hate everything.
People think I'm that guy, by the way.
Yeah, and again, you know, you can do that, but I think I would like to be able to offer something like, hey, this is tough, but when you say something like that, let's maybe offer an idea, right? Let's maybe offer a contribution. Now, on Twitter, there were a lot of people that actually did do that. Like when I suggested that in my podcast, there were people that offered a whole list of really interesting things, and I was like, that's great. That's just engage with us and say, hey, these might be some ideas, and maybe there's something that we can all work on together. But again, a lot of it's going to take money. A lot of it's going to take money that I don't have. You know, the series is they are investing, but they're also, you got to remember, the series has to invest money in areas that you never will see, right? It's background stuff that goes on. It's structural things. It's personnel. It's you know, how do we get a new car? Well, that costs money. You know what I mean? So, you know, Roger is one who is putting in money way more than any of us have. You know what I mean? And someone has to do that, and Roger's our guy to do that. So I have faith in him, but we're only a few years into this thing. I mean, Roger bought this thing and kept us, you know, kept us sustained through the COVID deal. I mean, we're only 4 years out of that, right? So like, you know, this is year 4 after COVID. Like, there's a lot that I think we still can do. We got 100 Days to Indy on Netflix. That's great.
That's good. Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing. So again, I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer for that, David. But I do believe that I can contribute. I do believe that you are contributing. I do believe that there's going to be a breakthrough moment, I think, with like I think NASCAR has it this year. They didn't need to break through anything, but boy, have they looked strong already this year. When you look at their ratings, and you know, some of the races have been awesome, I will say. And again, people can hate NASCAR till the day they die, but they have a bigger fan base than us. So there's no point in doing that. How do we figure out how they're doing it? How do we figure out what they're doing that we can maybe, you know, just admire and be like, okay, cool. Well, they had a great Netflix show. That worked. So maybe it is, you know, the first step to us is having 100 Days to Indy, which I think is a great program, and they're coming back for season 2. It's on Netflix. It's consumable. Maybe that's step 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you saw it with NASCAR. They have a Netflix show now. F1 has a Netflix show. I think the one thing is, I'm curious how Netflix themselves will promote 100 Days to Indy because they didn't make it, right? I think that's the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about. But
I am as well, but it's there.
It's on the shelf, right? It's on the shelf. And so when you watch Drive to Survive or you watch the NASCAR show, now it hopefully will be suggested.
Let me put an interesting equation to you.
Okay.
So
I'm bad at math.
No. This isn't math. This is use your mind.
Okay.
So you had, and I'm going to try to paint this in the best possible way that I can.
Okay.
Netflix show F1 to the moon, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, the racing sucks, and now the viewership is going down.
Correct.
So it's like maybe that peak of excitement about it. It's like that thing that you realize that you think is cool, and you're like, after a while, you're like, well, I actually don't like this because it's not fun to watch.
Yeah.
And NASCAR, I believe, is fun to watch in a lot of scenarios, and so you put that immediately in front of those people that might have been craving something that's more fun motorsport-wise to watch, and you hit NASCAR in the right stride. Now, do they maintain that? Now, I believe if IndyCar gets that same type of people that are craving something entertaining, and you're like, this is entertaining, and we can talk to the drivers more. We can go to these motor races.
Yep.
We can see fast cars that are loud and shoot sparks and pass each other and hit each other. Like, that's this side, and you're going to the same, hopefully the same peak, because F1 got up there and now it's dead, and then NASCAR is already there, but they got more out of it. So. Yep. How do we combine both of them? I think IndyCar is in the perfect position to take advantage of. We have the biggest event in the world, the fastest cars in the world at that motor race. How are we not selling that with everything together? I think we're in a perfect position to be able to take advantage of these two fan bases that are like willing to watch something else. You just got to put it in front of them. I think. I don't know. That might have been hard to explain, but I think it was a good way to explain it.
Well, I mean, IndyCar is kind of a perfect medium between Formula One, the glitz and glamour, and NASCAR, the hard racing, right? Like, it is right in between the two aspects of it. I think the thing, to go back to a previous point, because you mentioned, what's the answer to getting more media involved and thus more people
realistically, the thing that you just need more people to watch the TV. Because honestly, ratings, I think, are so powerful. You see how big TV deals are. So, like, we could do more social media all the time, but, like, realistically, what I think the most important part is what gets that TV rating. Because more and more people are watching more sports than ever, right? The Super Bowl is the most watched Super Bowl. College basketball right now, everyone's
you're working
watching
up to sports betting, aren't you?
Everyone's watching sports.
Yeah.
We are a sport.
Yes.
So how do we get all those many millions of people that are consuming sport because we are a sport?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we do that?
I don't know.
That's the most important question.
Well, I think it takes, because if you go back to when the period of time that your dad covered and drove in, right?
Speed vision.
Well, yeah, we need to bring back speed vision, but that's a whole other thing. But, like, you look at, like, the kart era, and I look at what made them successful and ultimately also led to their downfall, was that they had a lot of hugely invested sponsors that actively worked to bring people in.
Marlboro ads, Target ads,
exactly, on television and on through newspapers and magazines. Things have changed now. All in some ways, we still have great magazines like Racer, but, like, a lot of it's online, a lot of it's video, a lot of it's podcasts. I would, and I don't want to necessarily, because the sponsors are spending a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
But I'd like to take some of them to task and say, fund some people to come out here, fund some publications, and get some motorsports riders actually paid to do this, or motorsports podcasters or whoever. Get them paid, get them motivated to cover, because, like, that's, it's great when, like, the Honda has the Honda hospitality, right? They let the media in there. It's great. It's a great, like, incentive. Thermal Club, as a media member, great incentive. Free food. They take care of you here. And those sort of incentives, I think, for me as a media person, are important to get to the race, and then it helps elevate the glamour. It puts you in a better mood, so you're more positive about everything. Like, all of those things are important. And I think those are some of the things that IndyCar racing, for a variety of reasons, but it is the fact of the situation.
Yeah.
It's so heavily business to business now that I think we've kind of lost sight of how to reach out and say, come.
Well, you bring up a great point, because, like, all those celebrities that go to Formula One races aren't going because they're big fans of, I don't know, Logan Sargent or Lewis Hamilton.
Right.
They're going because they're paid.
Yep.
Rolex pays them. Heineken pays them. I talked to, one of my friends is Zed, the DJ. He was at the Bahrain race. I was like, dang, man, you're like a proper race fan now. Because, like, he came to the 500. He's like, well, yeah, they paid me to be there. I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, I'm still proud of you for being out there. But that's what's happening. So, like, what we see with Hy-V. Well, Hy-V is paying all these musical artists
Yep.
to come and perform at our race. That's great.
That's great.
Huge for the whole. That's huge for their investment. Spend money to make money, right? I think, we got to see a lot of these, like, if each team said, hey, NTT or Hitachi or whoever it is, whoever's the partner on our car, are you guys down to bring a celebrity in, maybe pay him to wear your stuff, check it out? That's part of it. I don't think that's the answer, right?
Yep.
I still think you got to have some of what like Mission Foods is doing, where you got Pato as a cardboard stand-up in a gas station. You got, Jack Harvey last year as a Hy-Vee guy was in every gas station. That's still like, you got to get those people too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because every NASCAR, like you go into every gas station, there's a NASCAR somewhere, or there's some representation of a NASCAR driver somewhere, and everyone goes to a gas station almost every day.
And more Formula One's starting to pop in there, right?
Exactly. So you've got to have that too, which I respect Mission Foods and Hy-Vee for doing that. But that's you could talk about that for 10 hours. I mean, we could be here all day.
I think that's Conor saying he wants to wrap things up.
No, I'm just, but like, this is how our conversation would go.
Yep.
We're not going to solve anything today,
but
it's worth talking about. I think it's worth, I think we have to be very happy with the state of IndyCar currently, because there's 27 cars on the grid. We're at a beautiful country club racetrack where they're paying out a ton of money for people. Now, again, it might not be what it sounds like, but people are making money to be here, and we're on NBC. We have a consumable race. We have consumable stuff on Peacock all weekend. So, I'm excited for the future of IndyCar, because obviously I get to drive a car again soon, so that's my most favorite part. But the Indy 500 is going to be sick.
Yes,
we're going to be really fast. Why is that? I hope that's on SportsCenter every week, talking about, cars are averaging 236 miles an hour, maybe. It won't. Stop
It'll be on the David Land channel, though. You should check it out.
It will be. The Conor Daly 22 YouTube channel. But it feels like we have that, like, we're going to get there, I think. We're going to get there. And we've been talking about this for years, but, like, I think we can get there.
Yeah. I can't wait for the Indianapolis 500.
I can't tell. I mean, the Larson of, just all of it is good.
Yeah.
35 cars.
35 cars.
No guaranteed entries yet.
Oh yeah. Why you got to get me? You talk about 10 hours. I'll go on for 10 hours about that.
Hey, I'm anti-guaranteed entry, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna stand on that.
Well, there you go. We've agreed. We agree on that one. That's good. But yeah, I guess we'll finish it up by we'll see you in about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate you letting me do this. By the way,
yes.
My viewers and my very small 1,500 subscribers on YouTube, all of them watch David Land's videos.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate your community. I appreciate those that consume IndyCar content on YouTube, because I think we are just now. We're just now getting to where I believe we will have more and more stuff on YouTube. My show now has a deal with IndyCar's YouTube channel, so we're going to have stuff on there.
That? Who do you got to note it? Oh, wait.
Taylor Jr. We got to, we're doing things, David. We're doing things. So we appreciate all those folks that consume out here. And, I appreciate you letting me come on and introduce myself to your community.
I appreciate you, Conor, and I mean, like I said earlier, like it's so nice to have the drivers treat me so well. I mean, guys like you, and I mean, I could name pretty much the entire paddock, right? Like everybody does a great job, and really seems to support independent coverage of this series. And I'm harsh sometimes. You have to be. I mean, I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't love it, right?
I mean, in my last episode, I explained how much prize money people make at every race, and I don't think that's not a great thing.
No.
But like, I'm just being honest. It paints a cool picture for people. It's not a negative thing, but it's like, hey, this is what really is happening.
Well, I don't know what else to say. I think this has been pretty awesome. Thank you for coming on, Conor. And I mean, we'll be talking to you in a driver's suit very shortly at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Thank God.
I think we're all looking forward to that.
I'm a driver that does side projects.
Well, I'm glad that this was one of them. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to Conor. He should be in the comments. If he's not, he'll be in the description. And you can also just search his name. He's pretty easy to find. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.